Can you believe it? Tens of thousands of years ago, Neanderthals might have eaten their own kind, and not just to survive. In a cave in France, archaeologists discovered 6 Neanderthal remains. But these remains were neither buried nor respectfully placed. They were butchered. Their tongues were cut out, skulls were cracked open. The remaining bones were thrown into the same pile as prey bones. So what exactly happened here? Was it a choice made in famine and desperation, or conflict? Or perhaps a spiritual or religious act? For over 300,000 years, Neanderthals thrived across vast northern regions, surviving. They weren't the half-human, half-beast monsters we often imagine. They were close relatives in our evolutionary history. While our ancestors were still in the south, they had already moved north, conquering the harsh environments there. Though people often view them through stereotypes, in reality, Neanderthals were a complex group. They used fire, could craft sophisticated stone tools, and even hunt large animals. They even buried their dead. Yet we keep finding remains with undeniable butchery marks on the bones. So far, this kind of evidence has been found at nearly 10 sites across Eurasia. First, let's look at the discovery at the Moula-Guercy cave in France. This was excavated in the 1970s. At the time, it was seen as a textbook example of Neanderthal life. There were deer, goat, and woolly rhino bones, proof of a bountiful hunt. Their butchering technique was highly skilled. They precisely cut meat and tendons from bones and split open long bones to extract the high-calorie marrow inside. Neanderthals processed prey without wasting a single bit of energy. They squeezed out every calorie. But their prey may not have been just animals. It included other Neanderthals. Archaeologists found that those 6 Neanderthal bones all had butchery cut marks. The method was like something out of a horror movie. The facial chewing muscles of 2 young individuals were cut away. One had its tongue removed. All skulls and long bones were cracked open to extract the brain and marrow. And this wasn't for ritual. It was to obtain calories. Even weirder, though they used fire, the bones show almost no signs of roasting, meaning the meat was eaten nearly raw, freshly cut and swallowed. This isn't sashimi. This is chewing human flesh, skipping fire altogether. And these remains weren't buried or specially treated. They were just mixed in with the bones of other prey, as if there was no difference. The lead researcher, Alban de Fleur, said, "Human bones and animal bones were treated the same, suggesting they served the same purpose, to be eaten." This site paints a brutal picture of the Neanderthal world, where eating a child's brain and tongue was not considered taboo. It was an era where the boundary between predator and prey disappeared, even among their own kind. But Moula-Guercy is not the only place this happened. Several hundred kilometers away in northern Spain, in a dark cave in the mountains, the same chilling scene appeared. About 49,000 years ago, at least 12 Neanderthals died here. But they didn't just die. They were systematically dismembered. Skulls cracked open to get the brain, limbs broken to extract marrow. Whatever happened here, it was neither quick nor clean. At the Goyet cave, at least 5 Neanderthal remains were found, including children. Their bones had cut marks, scrapes, and signs of precise disarticulation. And right beside them were identically processed deer and horse bones. This clearly shows that in the eyes of the doers, these Neanderthals were meat, no different. Globally, at least 8 Neanderthal sites show evidence of cannibalism. Try to imagine that world. Almost zero sense of safety. Every stranger could be a threat, and sometimes the violence wasn't driven by hunger, but by power. Stronger tribes raided weaker ones, not because they lacked food, but because they could, to show dominance. When it was over, they didn't just leave. They cut off the victim's facial muscles, cracked open skulls, extracted the brain, then tossed the bones into the same pile as deer and horse. Because in that moment, to them, humans and prey were no different. Though I just described the darkest side of Neanderthal survival, now we need to add more nuance, because as you'll see, the reasons for cannibalism are far more complex than they appear. Many think cannibalism is barbaric, but in fact it's not rare in nature. At least 1,500 species may eat their own kind, including our closest relatives, chimpanzees. In human history, due to hunger, isolation, or ritual, cannibalism is actually not uncommon. In some cases, people had to eat their dead companions to survive. Think of the Donner Party story. In the mid-19th century, a group of American pioneers traveled from the Midwest to California. Due to various mistakes, they were trapped in the rugged Sierra Nevada mountains. Winter was coming, food ran out, and they began to starve. Facing mass starvation, the survivors had to eat their deceased companions. Even 2 Native Americans were involved. These pioneers weren't worse than others. They were just unlucky to fall into such a desperate situation. It's easy for us today to judge from afar, but back then they likely had no choice. Now, a thought experiment. 1,000,000 years from now, archaeologists discover the Donner Party's cannibal remains. How would they judge us? They might analyze nutritional and stress markers on the bones, like stunted growth, fragile bones, tiny lesions on skulls, all signs the body was breaking itself down from extreme starvation. Self-cannibalism. Some Neanderthal cannibal sites show the exact same features. For example, at El Sidrón cave in Spain and Moula-Guercy in France, there are signs of malnutrition and starvation on the bones. Scientists examined Neanderthal tooth enamel growth lines and found multiple severe malnutrition or illness events. They went through repeated famines. Maybe they were on the verge of starving to death, and families were forced to eat the dead to survive. Though we can't fully confirm El Sidrón's 10 Neanderthals died from famine, it's no crueler than the 19th century American pioneers. This 1800s example is important because it helps us better understand these people. They lived in an extremely harsh world, brutal winters forcing them to go months without food, trapped in place through the cold. In such desperate situations, they did what anyone would do in that situation. The Rozipna site remains also likely show evidence of cannibalism, indicating malnutrition. Though evidence from other sites isn't as clear, at the Goyet site, cannibalism evidence is solid. Even though this group didn't seem to be facing famine at the time, this behavior may suggest darker motives. And those motives are chilling. It's possible some Neanderthal groups ate their own kind for food or revenge. No doubt conflict occurred between Neanderthals. After all, what's more human than senseless violence? We do have evidence that Neanderthals occasionally killed each other, and the killed enemy might be eaten. Not out of desperation, but perhaps for practical reasons. After all, our bodies are essentially meat. An adult human body contains about 100,000 calories. Without moral objections, why let so many calories rot away? Even in some modern cultures, eating loved ones is a way to honor them. The Fore region of Papua New Guinea was one of the last places where cannibalism was widely practiced. There are many motives for cannibalism, one of the most common being eating deceased loved ones, a form of funerary cannibalism. People believed it was better for loved ones to eat the body than let worms and insects consume it. It's said many Fore people even requested before death that their families bury them this way. At funerals, the body would be cooked and mainly given to adult women to eat because they were believed to be best suited to carry the soul. Cannibalism also often occurred during war, fallen enemies seen as a food source. However, this behavior led to the spread of dangerous prion diseases that spread through the population via this practice. At the Krapina cave in Croatia, one Neanderthal site stands out. It gives us another possibility. Dozens of Neanderthal remains found here all show cut and fracture marks. Cannibalism clearly occurred. But this time, the motive may not have been hunger. Researchers analyzing the teeth of these remains found no signs of severe malnutrition. And the site dates to a relatively warm period with abundant nearby wildlife. Meaning these Neanderthals weren't desperate. They had other survival options. This means this cannibalism likely had nothing to do with survival. Scientists speculate it may have been for some symbolic purpose, because these bodies weren't just butchered. Their bones were very carefully disarticulated at the joints, and the cut locations often don't match logic for meat removal. Some researchers believe these remains may be examples of mortuary defleshing, the beneficial removal of human soft tissue, but not to eat the meat, but as a symbolic, spiritual, or social act. Some may have heard of sky burial, a common practice in Tibet and surrounding areas. Human bodies are left for vultures, but these bodies are usually first dismembered and defleshed by trained ritual personnel. Then the bones are crushed, mixed with flour, and fed to crows. The belief behind this is that vultures help the soul ascend to the afterlife. This is a practice locals truly believe in and is done out of respect and reverence. Sites like Cro-Magnon and Monte Circio in France also show similar dismemberment and defleshing marks, but no clear signs of malnutrition. In these cases, researchers have proposed that Neanderthals may have had similar funeral processing traditions, defleshing bodies to feed to scavenger animals. This is a funerary custom. It's easy to imagine Neanderthals as brainless, immoral, savage hunters who chased and ate each other. But look at how diverse our own cultures are. It's clear Neanderthals had many reasons for eating their own kind. Some may have been starving to the limit and had to eat deceased loved ones to survive. Some may have defleshed to complete specific funeral rites, feeding loved ones to vultures. Some may have eaten loved ones out of respect. And of course, it's almost certain that violent, hostile cannibalism also existed. After all, that world was extremely brutal. But if you're going to call Neanderthals cannibals, you must also admit that we humans have a much longer and clearer record of this behavior. Compared to that, Neanderthals shouldn't be labeled with that derogatory cannibal tag. Of the roughly 300 Neanderthal remains we found, only about 15 show evidence of cannibalism, and even those cases are debated. Some Neanderthal groups may have been familiar with this behavior, but I'd bet many Neanderthals never did it in their entire lives. After all, intact burials have also been found, showing their culture varied greatly by region. And the vast majority of Neanderthals did not practice cannibalism. In my opinion, cannibalism is one of the most fascinating topics in anthropology. It breaks the illusion of simple morality, challenges our understanding of taboos, and makes us rethink the boundaries of humanity. Being human isn't just about what we do, it's about why we do it, because being human is complex. The fact is, despite our self-righteous morality, cannibalism has always been part of human history. So did Neanderthals sometimes eat people? Yes, but so have we humans, and always have. But these remains don't make Neanderthals any less human. In fact, they may prove they were just like us. So what do you think? Is cannibalism always wrong? Or can it have other meanings? Leave your thoughts in the comments.